Put the fucking mic on.
How we doing, folks? It's your boy DP, Barstool Sports Starting 9, and you are listening to the End of the Bench. Scoot your ass down.
Welcome to a bonus podcast of End of the Bench, The Last Dance recap show. It's time to recap episodes 7 and 8. And man, were we blessed with an amazing 2 episodes last night. Jesus Christ, it was amazing. It was so emotional. We saw everything. We knew episode 7 was going to be, and 8 was going to be about him retiring and coming out of retirement, going into baseball, learning about baseball, and we had a feeling it was going to be about his father's death. But we also saw an emotional side of Michael we've never, I think the people of like the planet Earth have never seen. We'll talk about that towards the end of the episode 7's recap, and then we'll go to a break and go to episode 8 recap. But let's kick off episode 7. Sit back, relax. It's time for a little recap. We start off the episode with a press conference in 1998. Playoffs are about to begin. They're about to play the New Jersey Nets at the time, the opening round in 98. But it's a press conference with Jerry Krause, and Craig Sager says some comments about was there some backstabbing, how's the relationship going, basically. And Krause was not happy. He said there was no backstabbing. You know, I can't believe you would say that. The relationship's fine. The team's great. We're doing great. And then, and then some reporter in the background says, "Way to go, Craig," as he pissed off Jerry Krause. And then, boom, opening of the show. Ready to go. We start off in 1998. Now, remember, guys, they go back and forth, so you got to pay attention. So we're in 1998 playoffs, opening round against the Nets. Game 1, Bulls win by 3. Bulls win by by 3, in overtime. I can't even read my notes. By 3 in overtime. It looked like Hannah Storm said. It looked like we saw Michael Jordan after like the ending of the 93 season, 93 playoffs. He looked like he was drained, right? Remember, he's kind of towards the end of his Bulls run. You don't know if he's coming back or not. And it gets really emotional because you see he's just not there. And then we stop from that period of time in 98 to go into his relationship with his father. So, Jordan and his father were only ones, they were the only ones to know, like, I mean, his father was the only one to know that he was going to retire, right? I mean, his father was the voice of reason. He was like his best friend. And this is the unfortunate part about Michael Jordan's story, is that his father was tragically murdered. So July 23rd, 1993, he went missing. The story goes that MJ's best friend and assistant was going to pick up his father from the airport and didn't show up. So everyone started to get worried, and also like, oh, maybe he's just playing golf and he missed his flight. He's, staying a little extra longer, fine. But then when his mother, MJ's mother, got worried, then everyone started to get worried. So he was missing for 3 weeks. And then on August 13th, 1993, he was tragically found, and he was dead. 2 days later, it was his funeral, and it was very impressive to see Michael talk about his father's death, even almost 27 years later, whatever it is, and the fact that he was able to talk about it, and even before, during that time period, people were saying he was very strong. He kept his family very strong. His mother was talking about how, for an event like this, he was putting on a strong look. It sucks. And then what a lot of people like to do, and look, I've definitely thought about it without a doubt, is the conspiracy theories. There's conspiracy theories that his father's tragic death, where did it come from? It was completely random. There was 2 18-year-olds that tried that killed Michael's father, and it doesn't seem like, why is it not adding out? Like, what there was no reason behind it. They didn't, like, it was very weird, right? Well, Michael had a lot of money that he had to pay back towards his gambling debts. He was in debt a lot, and the conspiracy theories go around and saying that maybe he got killed because Jordan didn't owe money to either the mob or some big time loan shark or whatever. So those started to heat up. And then Michael decided to retire. Jordan met with Jerry Reinsdorf and said, "Look, I'm starting to feel it." And he's like, "Look, you got to talk to Phil before you make a decision." So Phil Jackson and Michael Jordan had a meeting in Jerry Reinsdorf's office, and that he was saying he's retiring. So in 1993, the playoffs, opening round of the playoffs, ALDS, you had the White Sox versus the Blue Jays. Michael was supposed to throw out the first pitch. If you see the photos, he's wearing denim on denim with some brown shoes, looking like he got the fit going. So he throws out the first pitch. It's beautiful, right? Now remember this, guys. Jerry Reinsdorf was not only the owner of the Bulls, but he also owned the Chicago White Sox. The guy was swimming in money, and he had two sports teams. So it kind of makes sense that Michael becomes part of the Chicago White Sox minor league system. So on October 6, 1983, so actually let's not go to 1990. Let's not go to October 6th yet. So that day he throws out the first pitch, and then Michael goes back up to Reinsdorf's just box to watch the game, watch the playoff game, and Jerry Krause gets told by Reinsdorf that he's to retire, and they want to keep this in-house so they can say it a couple days later in a professional way at a press conference. Well, story does travel fast. You had media personnel swarming the press box, swarming Reinsdorf's box, and unfortunately, news went out, and then a couple days later, October 6, 1983, he has a press conference like none other. It was one of those, as many people said on the doc said, it was a "where were you at" moment. Like, where were you at when Michael Jackson died, or where were you at when O.J. Simpson was not guilty? Where were you when 9/11 happened? Where were you when Michael Jordan retired? So there was hundreds and hundreds of media outlets all across the world came to Chicago to talk, to see, and listen. And Michael Jordan said he felt ready. He felt ready. We saw at the end of the 93 season when he won the title, right, in episode 6, that it was more of a relief that it was done than he was excited winning his third straight title. You were on the top of the mountain, 3-time champ, 3 in a row, the best player on the planet, the most liked person on the planet. Did your 93 season have some rough patches? Absolutely, with your gambling addiction and getting that, everyone noticing that. But he felt ready. And then here comes more conspiracy theories. Why? Why are you retiring at the prime of your career? You won 3 straight titles. Why are you doing it? Well, people are looking at it as you're leaving in the middle of a gambling investigation. Your father dies. Was this a secret suspension by David Stern? Well, a lot of people on the documentary, including Michael, say that's a crock of shit. Like, Stern is the ultimate, capitalist. He wants to make money. He wants his league to make money. Imagine if Michael Jordan, he suspends Michael Jordan. That means the rest of the league, the rest of the teams are going to lose money. Because wherever Michael goes to play away games, that arena, that team makes a boatload of money. In ticket sales, in marketing, in advertising, in in-game, not in-game, in-game beverages, whatever. They're making a ton of money when Michael and the Bulls come to their state, into their game, into their teams. So I can't see David Stern suspending Michael Jordan for a year and a half. I can't see that. I don't see how that makes a lot of sense. Look, does it add up, right? That he owed all this money, and either it was the loan sharks or was it the mob or whatever you want to talk about in this conspiracy theory scenario took his father instead of the money, then okay. That it does raised some red flags, but to me, I think it's total bullshit. I think it's pretty ridiculous. I mean, Steven Stern said on the doc, he said, "This is ridiculous. Why would I suspend him? Why? There's no information backing this up that, there's no reason to. He's dealing with it on his own. It's fine. He wants to leave because he felt like he was ready to leave. His father always wanted him to play baseball. It was his first love," Michael said. Play baseball first. Larry Jordan, his brother, thought he'd be playing in the major leagues. Well, on February 7, 1994, he joined the White Sox in spring training. MJ's last conversation with his father was about playing baseball. He said, "Hey, Dad, I think I want to retire and play some baseball." His dad was all over it. So MJ played for the Birmingham Barons, Birmingham, Alabama. He went from the nightlife in Chicago, being at top of the world, to just being one of the guys. And of course, in Michael Jordan fashion, this man started the year on a 13-game hitting streak. And if you don't know, Terry Francona was a part of that Birmingham Barons team and coached Michael through that time. And after that 13-game hitting streak, pitchers thought like, all right, let's not throw a fastball to him anymore. So if you're a pitcher, you're not going to throw fastballs to him anymore. You're going to throw off-speed, changeups, curveballs, sliders, everything, every kind of junk you got, throw at Michael because he ain't hitting shit. And guess what? He didn't see a fastball for about a month after that. Straight breaking balls all the time. He was struggling big time. Couldn't hit. Fielding was bad. And then Sports Illustrated puts him on the front cover of that issue, or this issue, and it said, one of the things on the cover said, "Michael Jordan embarrassed baseball." Well, Jordan felt betrayed by SI. It's like, I didn't ask for this. I didn't ask for that cover. And then from that point on, since 1994, he's never, ever been on the cover of Sports Illustrated. Not one time. Now, Sports Illustrated makes a lot of money. They probably do pretty well. I know they laid off a bunch of their employees over a year and a half ago, 2 years ago. But they do pretty well financially with their magazine. I think that hurt them a little bit, though. For the rest of Michael's career, he had won 3 more rings after this. Didn't have him on the front cover at all. That's tough. He finished the year batting .202. .202. That's incredible for a guy that didn't. The last time he picked up a baseball bat was at 17, then he picks it up at 32. That shit does not happen. Like, at all. At all. I mean, Terry Francona said something pretty spectacular. If I can find the quote here. I have it saved in my quotes area here. It was in the fact that, like, prospects, we have tons of prospects. It doesn't make much sense. We have all these prospects that are really good hitters. Really good. None of them were coming close to what Michael was doing. No one was getting 50 RBIs. Nobody was. That's incredible stuff. How in the world does that happen? It's just Michael being Michael. That's at the end of the day. That's just Michael being Michael. He can pick up a bat at 32. He hasn't played since he was in high school, and he excels. It's pretty amazing because I played baseball my whole life. I played in college. Fuck, I couldn't hit shit. It took me a long time to become a decent hitter, okay hitter. I mean, this guy picked up a bat, hasn't fucking hit in 20 plus years, and he still played. Look, here's the quote. Found it. He drove in 50 runs. We had a lot of prospects who didn't drive in 50 runs at all. That was Terry Francona. I can't believe he hit .202, what Jerry Reinsdorf said. Here's another quote from Terry Francona. He said, "In my opinion, with 1,500 or more at-bats, he'd have found a way to get to the major leagues." That just goes to show that Michael's just a fucking beast. He's just a beast. Flat out. That's what he is. He's just an animal. He finished up batting 202, 50 RBIs. And I think the main thing from that, the first part of this episode 7 before we went to commercial, is that he said something pretty interesting, that he was treated just like every other guy in the clubhouse. He felt like a kid again. He was just one of the guys. And he didn't feel like that in Chicago, being the center of attention all the time. The pressure's on him. He didn't want to be a role model. He just wanted to be another part of the team, just be one of the guys. And I like how his teammates didn't treat him different. Didn't treat him like he was the Michael Jordan we all know. He treated him like a rookie. And he liked that. He liked being a rookie again. He liked having fun. And it seemed like at the end of the 93 season, he just wasn't having fun anymore. Which is pretty crazy to say now, because we look at Michael Jordan as this guy who absolutely dominated the game. And it looks like, to us, if you really think about it, why wouldn't you have fun dominating? But maybe he felt like he was bored, I don't know. So that's why maybe he picked up baseball. So we come back from commercial, and now we are at the 1998, in April 1998. MJ tried getting under Scott Burrell's skin. Now, Scott Burrell and Michael Jordan had a very nice relationship during the time that Scott Burrell was there, from 97, 98 years. It was it was funny how he ridiculed Scott Burrell, and he was kind of a baby, didn't really try that hard, didn't put a lot of effort, but he was a good player. It was a win at all costs kind of mentality, though, with that 98 team. Michael Jordan talked. This is now, he talks about, right after they talk about the relationship with Michael and Scott Burrell, we now see the relationship between Michael and his teammates. A win at all costs attitude. That's what it was. I'm going to ridicule you until you get on my level. That's what he said. Teammates feared Michael all the time. Will Purdue said he was an asshole, but a great teammate. We finally see what MJ was saying to us before the doc started, when he said, people will think I'm an asshole, I'm not a good teammate. I think he was. Look, for Michael's level to emerge as this superstar athlete, superstar human being, this absolute beast of a player, if he didn't play like this 24/7, 365, they wouldn't have 6 rings. Maybe they'll have 1, maybe 2. They wouldn't have 6. Michael was the epitome of greatness. And with greatness sometimes comes some asshole characteristics, I guess. Hard-nosed player. Get on your players. Get on your teammates. So we come back from that part talking about him as a teammate. From commercial, now we're talking about 1994 NBA season. So now this is the first season without Michael. Michael is playing baseball, and the Bulls are trying to play without Michael. Pippen said, we did great. Phil did his best coaching, and a lot of people thought the triangle offense wouldn't work without Michael. The triangle offense actually worked to perfection without him. People said that they couldn't run it without Michael, and guess what? They fucking did. And they killed it. Tony Kukoc, who was the Croatian, the left-handed Magic Johnson, as they called him, played his first year in Chicago. So the 1994 Eastern Conference semis, this is where I think a lot of people are trying to remember now that Pippen made the worst decision of his life. Worst decision of his career. So, final seconds of this game. Pippen didn't want to play because he wasn't getting the last shot. He was pissed. Imagine you were playing behind Michael as the second option for years. And now you had the opportunity to be, you are the number one guy, without a doubt. Pippen was the number one guy in the 94 season. You know how many times Michael got the last shot instead of Pippen? thousands of times. But now Pippen has this opportunity. So, Phil Jackson runs up this play in the Eastern Conference semis, and the last shot was going to go to Kukoc. Kukoc was supposed to get the last shot, and he did, and he made a buzzer beater that won the game. But Pippen didn't go in. He said, fuck that. I'm done. I'm not coming in. Fuck you guys. Play without me. And they said, fuck you. We will. Kukoc just the buzzer beater. Boom. It was very awkward in the end of that game in the locker room. Wasn't really no excitement. But Pippen really fucked up. Big time. You have Bill Cartwright, veteran player, older guy in the clubhouse, started crying. He couldn't believe he quit on his team. Why would you quit on us like that? Pippen apologized immediately, and they went right back to it. But Michael said, like, this is something he's going to regret for the rest of his life. And yeah, I think he still does, but I feel like he doesn't feel. I don't feel like he'll change it if he had to go back and do it again. I don't know. I think I do feel for Pippen. Definitely pissed off. I would have gave the ball to Pippen. Absolutely. I mean, Kukoc has had many moments in that 94 season with some buzzer beaters, but I would have to say that Pippen definitely deserved to get that last shot. But I don't in any way, shape, or form think that was a good idea for Pippen to sit out. Absolute bullshit, to be honest with you. Really showed some low features of him. So, they lose in 7 games to the Knicks to end the 94 season. And, yeah. Definitely didn't feel right watching that. Even to today, in 2020, watching the Bulls not win, after 3 straight years of winning and they lose in 7 games to the Knicks. Knicks fans are happy watching that. Finally getting something. So right before the episode ends, we're back in 1998. Game 2 versus the Nets. Boom, winner. Game 3 against the Nets. They win the series. Scott Burrell has 23 points. MJ has 38. B.J. Armstrong said he couldn't be nice. This is now we're ending it where they're talking about the relationship with him and his teammates. The question was, B.J. Armstrong was he a nice teammate? Was he a good guy on the court? B.J. Armstrong, I think he said it best. He couldn't be nice to you. Because if you didn't come up to the level where he was at, you couldn't play in the playoffs. That's what he said. Michael Jordan said, if you couldn't play against me beating your ass verbally and beating your ass in the paint, and if you couldn't beat me, then you couldn't win out there. I agree with that. If you truly didn't love the game, it was hard to be around him. I think Will Perdue said that. But I have a quote here saying, this is what I was talking about before, the ending of the episode 7, which I think is there's many clips, there's many quotes running through this documentary so far, but this is number 1. And we're going to probably see one top this, but right now this is number 1. He said, look, people see this and say he wasn't a nice guy. He may have been a tyrant. Well, that's you because you never won anything. An all-time fucking quote. What a great episode. Unbelievable. I mean, the Jordan crying, talk about how competitive he is just exactly who he is. Exactly. He couldn't have been a nice player. With that type of mentality he had, he couldn't have been nice. That's the finish of that other quote from B.J. Armstrong. MJ ending with him crying and saying break. I got emotional watching it. It was unbelievable. I've watched that same video, that same last minute and a half, 15 times since I watched it live on television. That's art. That's right there. That is beautiful, beautiful thing we witnessed. It really was. I was blown away. He was so competitive. He wants to win so fucking bad. If you don't like it, then fuck off. And he started crying. It's fucking incredible. There's nobody like Michael. That's it. Look, I wasn't around. I was born in 1995. So in 95, he wasn't there, right? He wasn't on the Bulls. And I was still extremely young when he retired. So like my Michael Jordan was Kobe Bryant and LeBron. More like Kobe. And always the most famous debate and the most recycled debate of all time is who's better, Michael or LeBron? And I've always said Michael, and there's always been hesitation in my tone of voice, saying, yeah, definitely Michael. And people say, hey, look, you never watched Michael live. You watched LeBron live. Fuck yeah, I've watched LeBron. Watch him every chance I get. You're witnessing greatness. But guess what? All you youngins out there, including myself, younger than me, high school, elementary school, college kids, watch this now. You'll change your take on LeBron being the best ever, because Michael absolutely blows LeBron out of the water, without a doubt. Without a doubt. This man, at the height of his career, retires, goes to play another sport where he did okay, and then he comes back and wins 3 more. Hey, shit doesn't happen like that. Ever. I'm taking off my glasses. Ever. Doesn't happen. Ever. Glasses put back on. I'm just trying to show a point here. I'm talking to myself right now. Look, this shit does not happen. Ever. LeBron could not do this. At all. I'd love to see him do it. Shit ain't gonna happen. Kobe. One of the greatest ever. He ain't gonna do this. As competitive as he was. No, I can't see it. I can't see it. Can't see it. Unfucking believable. It blows me away. You really sit back. I sat back for the minute we had, the 30 seconds we had until episode 8 started. I sat back and said, there's nobody better than Michael Jordan. And nobody will ever be better than Michael Jordan. Ever. Sorry. Shit ain't gonna happen. Nobody's gonna be better than Michael. That's it. Alright, let's take a quick break. When we come back, we will recap episode 8, beginning with the Bulls facing off the Hornets in 1998 playoffs. And man, was that an epic series when we come back. We're back. It's episode 8 recap. We're now in 1998. Opening scene of episode 8. The Bulls are going to play the Hornets in the playoffs. Game 1, the Bulls win. Game 2 is very interesting because B.J. Armstrong, he needed to show the Bulls what they were missing, right? Armstrong won 3 titles with the Bulls. As a point guard, as a guy who knew everything, every play, how everyone shot, everyone's tendencies. He knew everything about the Bulls. He said, I just had a moment, is what he said. He had a jumper with 10 seconds to go. And he woke up everybody. And the Hornets won game 2. He fucking tore it up, B.J. Armstrong said. He tore it up. He talked a lot of shit. He talked shit to Phil Jackson on the court, on the sideline after the big shot. Talked shit to Pippen. Talked shit to Michael Jordan. Yikes. Bad idea. So before we get into Game 3 and the rest of the series, we go back in time to a moment where a name many people don't know. His name is LaBradford Smith. LaBradford Smith was on the Washington Bullets. The Bullets at the time were fucking terrible. Fucking terrible team. Horrible. One of the worst teams in the NBA. He scored 38 against the Bulls And Michael and a lot of the guys were covering LaBradford Smith that night. So, after the game was over, you dapping up your players, said good game, see you later. LaBradford Smith said to Michael, nice game. Nice game, Mike. MJ and the Bulls played them again in Washington the next night. So Michael, of course, scores 36 in the first half. He got fired up. Fired up. And guess what? Shit wasn't real. He made it up. He made it up. He was asked about it. He said, yep, I made that shit up. Absolutely. Because he wanted some sort of competitive advantage against LaBradford Smith. LaBradford Smith averaged 6 points a game in his career, I want to say. Yeah, I think he averaged 6 points a game. Not much. Not much yet. 6.7 points a game. He played for the Washington Bullets from 91 to 93, and then the Kings from 93 to 94, and then he played overseas until 2000. So it wasn't like he was a great player, but Michael just needed to make something out to tell himself, this motherfucker thinks he's better than me? No shot. So we're going back to 98 now. After game 2, embarrassing loss by the Bulls, right? You see an image of MJ smoking a cigar and swinging a bat in his locker room, saying, don't worry, guys. Just a game. We lost one game. We'll be back tonight. Don't worry. We'll be good. Armstrong messed up, man. Talk some shit. I don't understand these guys talking shit to Michael Jordan. I don't get it. He can either make up that they're talking shit, or if they actually talk shit, they're fucked. They're so screwed. And guess what? Bulls winning game 3. Armstrong said he had a rough night against MJ. Of course he did. Bulls win game 4, and Bulls win game 5 and the series. You don't do this shit against Michael Jordan. You just don't do it. It isn't a smart move. I'll tell you that. It isn't a smart move. So now we're going back to March of 1995. The baseball strike started, and Major League Baseball needed replacement players. MJ said, I'm not going to be a replacement player. I was never a replacement player before. I'm not going to be one now. So MJ calls up Armstrong and says, hey, what you doing? You hungry? So yeah, I was going to eat something and I have to go to practice later. And he's like, let's go eat something. They eat, they're talking. And B.J. Armstrong said, you know what? Why don't you come to practice? It'll be nice to see everybody. So MJ was like, all right, let's do it. Whatever. Fuck it. Goes to practice. Armstrong said, look, I'm gonna kick your ass. You haven't played basketball in a year. You're washed up. They play one-on-one. People were wondering, like, is he back? Is he gonna come back? 1 day of practice in a row, 2 days in a row, 3 days in a row, 4 days in a row. It's now been a week he's practicing with the guys. Guys are saying, look, I think he's back. And guess what? The press release comes out. The most famous press release. MJ's agent was like, David Falk was look. He was like, hey, can you write something up? Tell him, I'm coming back, something professional, And he wrote about, 4 or 5 different ones. And he was like, no, I don't like this. And he's like, all right, fuck it. Why don't you fucking write it? All he writes, I'm back. How badass is that? I'm back. The most famous press release of all time. So March 18th, 1995, he's back. Bulls had a rough year up until that point. They were a 500 ball club. They lost Grant Hill. He left to go to the Orlando Magic because he thought, I deserve to get paid. I think really, he saw the Bulls not as a winning team anymore. So he left right after that 94 season after they lost in the playoffs. So he's with the Magic, and that Magic team, fucking dirty. You had Shaq, you had Penny Hardaway, and you had Horace Grant. Beast team. So MJ rejoined the team towards the end of the year, and then we go to commercial break, and we come back. The 95 season, we see MJ's first game versus the Pacers. First game back in the NBA since his winning the championship in '93. That was the last time his father saw him play a game. His death kind of came back to life to MJ. It's been a year. You don't forget about it, but you kind of try putting it past you a little bit. But it came back to life because he's back on the court for the first time since his father last saw him play. It was hard for MJ to start playing basketball again. But the reaction was incredible. And something I've always wondered, I said, why did he change from 23 to 45? 45, he wore that number with the White Sox. But I was wondering, why did he change back to 23? So he didn't wear 23 because his father saw him wear 23. And that's the last time he wanted to wear 23. He said 45 was a new beginning. Very symbolic, very poetic. I like that. So in that game, MJ started off real slow, but he picked it up, but the Pacers won. 6 days later, we saw Michael being Michael, a buzzer beater against the Atlanta Hawks. And MJ was back. But one of the more famous games that Michael's ever been in, called the Double Nickel game, versus the Knicks. His return to MSG. You had just about everybody at the Garden that night. Every celebrity. This man scored 55 points at the Garden. Killed. Patrick Ewing said, hey, look, I had a really good game too, but no one's fucking talking about that. Everyone's talking about Michael this, Michael that. Well, guess what? He fucking dominated. So now we're in the Eastern Conference semifinals versus the Magic in the 1995 season. Magic were stacked, like I said. They had Shaq, a young Shaq, Penny Hardaway, and Horace Grant. MJ had a late turnover by Nick Anderson. Nick Anderson stole the ball, and then he throws the ball away on the other side after Anderson scores. Throws it away, trying to pass to Pippen, throws it away, game over. And look, we saw this before, right? With the LaBradford Smith story, how he kind of made it up so he can get himself riled up and have some more competitive nature, just competitiveness come up. And then we saw B.J. Armstrong talk shit, right? And then guess what? Nick Anderson says, he said 45 wasn't 23 tonight. Oh, fuck. Well, the next night, MJ wore 23 in Game 2. And, of course, he went off and the Bulls win. Magic up 3-2 now. We fast forward to Game 6. The Magic beat the Bulls 4-2, shocked the world. I mean, I've always wondered what happened to that '95 season. Look, I've looked it up. Look, I'll be honest, I've looked up many times years before this documentary, and I've looked it up after. But I really tried. Some things I forgot about Michael Jordan's career, and I really tried not to look it up because I really wanted to be almost surprised at some of the things. Be a young kid like myself, not around this era of basketball. I wanted it to be surprised in a way. And I was for certain things. And this one right here, so right after they lost to Orlando in Game 6, a lot of the guys take some time off. Even Michael took a little bit of time off to go on vacation, spend time with the family. He talked to his personal trainer, Tim Glover, who's trained Kobe and D. Wade and, of course, Michael. Said, I'll see you tomorrow. We're practicing tomorrow. I'll see you tomorrow. I mean, I have to give you, that's like, he's the best of all time. Like, that's just it. Another reason why he's the best. He's so fucking mad at the Magic. Horace Grant, who left the Bulls and talked all this shit, and supposedly talked a lot of shit to the press. Remember that? Remember the episode? I think it was episode 5 or 6. We're going to talk about all this shit about how it's a bad clubhouse, bad this, bad that. And he goes and beats the Bulls. He beats my Bulls. Well, Michael's like, fuck that. I'm going to beat your ass next year. So now we go to commercial. We come back. It's August, the summer of 1995. And we're starting to see how they filmed Space Jam. Space Jam, one of those all-time movies for kids just like me. I mean, he's still one of my favorite movies. I know they're making Space Jam 2 with LeBron. I wonder how good that's going to be. But this is one of my favorite movies of all time. You had everybody in that movie too. So they built him a facility. This is how much of a pull that Michael Jordan has. On the Warner Brothers studios, they built him a gigantic facility to shoot and practice at pickup games, working out, at a gym inside of the facility. So after hours and hours and hours of shooting, after it was done, then he would go have a 2-hour break. He would have a break in between, about 2 hours, 2-3 hours, and he would work out. Work out in the gym, shoot around, whatever, do his drills, go back to filming, and once filming was done at night, he would then work out and shoot more. I mean, Reggie Miller, it's like, I don't even understand how he would do it. I don't know how he wouldn't be exhausted after this, right? I don't even know how it makes any sense. So, after, look, there's a difference between getting in shape for basketball and getting in shape for baseball. Basketball is a lot of shoulder activities, your upper body. Baseball is a lot of lower body workouts. You do some upper body workouts for your arms and stuff, but a lot of the power comes from your lower half as a hitter, right? At your lower half, it's where a lot of power is, your torque. You want to turn those hips, whatever. It took about 15 months to get back into basketball shape. That's what Tim Glover was saying, his personal trainer. And everybody came out to the Warner Brothers studios to do pickup games. Everybody who's anybody that played in the NBA, the best players, the younger guys, and even the vets came in. They played pickup games. Look, he would film all day and play these pickup games, and they were legendary pickup games. And it was like a scouting report for the next season in '96 to see, look, I'm going to be making this movie. I want to get my work in, but I'm going to watch how these guys shoot. Reggie Miller, fucking perfect example, was right there. This was a scouting report. Perfect thing for Michael to do. And this was the best. And honestly, the best thing for Michael and the Bulls in '95 was to lose against the Magic. That's what the best thing was. Now we're going back again for the third time, talking about how Michael's relationship with his teammates during practice and games. They said, it was Kerr and Purdue and Cartwright said that, look, they all said that '96 training camp was brutal. Was brutal. And the famous practice is MJ started covering Steve Kerr. Phil was calling fouls on MJ. He was not happy. And the next foul that Michael got, fouled Steve Kerr hard. Kerr punched him in the chest, and Michael punched him right in the eye. Phil throws him out of practice. MJ, he asked for Steve Kerr's number. He knew he was wrong. He just kind of flipped out. He called Steve Kerr and had a long conversation. What I thought was very cool is that MJ had a bunch of respect. He got a lot of respect for Steve Kerr for standing up for himself. And Kerr was a small guy, and he said, "Look, I'm not the best player. I wasn't the best player. I was never the best player, but I needed to stand up for myself because I knew I was good." And he did. That was pretty cool. And then we go into the '95-'96 season. Rodman's first year as a Bull. Kerr said it was the best team I've ever played for. And remember this, guys, he coached the Warriors team that had the most wins in the regular season of all time. But you don't get the ring, man. Didn't get the ring. It's a bummer. But April 16th, 1996, they won their 70th game. They finished 72-10. The best team ever assembled. They were looking at the schedule. They're like, hey, look, this is too fucking easy. We're going to win every fucking game. Every game. So the playoffs start. They beat the Heat and they beat the Knicks right away. The '96 Eastern Conference semifinals against the Magic. And of course this happens. This was on MJ's mind all year long. And of course, they swept the fuck out of him, beat the shit out of the Magic 4-0. Done sweep. We go to commercial, we come back. We are now in the NBA Finals. Bulls versus Sonics. Supersonics had Gary Payton, Sean Kemp, Glove, one of the best alley-oop dunkers of all time in Sean Kemp, and a great coach in George Karl. And those 10 losses, the Sonics beat them once in the regular season. Now, here's a famous story that is true, by the way. Another example of MJ getting pissed and getting really competitive and getting this mindset in his brain for the whole series. MJ's at dinner with Ahmad Rashad, who yet again Ahmad's getting the inside scoop on MJ 24/7, by the way. So they're at dinner and they see George Karl off to the side at the same restaurant. Karl and Michael have always been very friendly over the years, but Karl walked right past MJ and Rashad at dinner. He didn't say a word. It made MJ mad. Shouldn't have done that. And then we heard if you stuck around after the doc was over, you watched Scott Van Pelt on SportsCenter at midnight. George Karl said it was true. Walked right by him. Big mistake. Bulls win game 2. Bulls win game 1, game 2, and game 3. MJ fucked him up. So now you're on game 4 now. Peyton wanted to cover MJ the entire series, but Karl didn't want that. Peyton was dealing with a calf injury. Also Karl wanted a shooter. He needed some offense out of this team. So Peyton was a better defender than a offensive shooter, but Peyton could shoot still. But Peyton was like, fuck that. Gary Payton's like, I'm the glove, motherfucker. I'm defensive player of the year in '96. I'm going to be covering Michael. And he did a great job covering Michael in game 4. MJ went 6 of 19 from the field. Sonics won game 4. And then they ended up winning game 5. And the great image was MJ started first. It was Gary Payton talking about how I was on him. I had to stop him. I was on him. And, oh God, it's so funny. It's so funny. I'm watching the clip here on mute here. Gary Payton was talking about how he was playing these great defense. I'm stopping him. I got to stop him at all costs. And then a perfect jump to MJ watching that video of Gary Payton saying that, and MJ is laughing his ass off. He couldn't guard me. He didn't do a good job. He reacted to Payton talking about him, and he said, I had no problem with the glove. I had no problem covering him. I had no problem covering me. So, of course, to kind of come first full circle from episode 7. 7, he retires, plays baseball, his father's death, comes back playing in episode 8. And now we're on June 16th, 1996 on Father's Day. I can't believe he was holding together so well during this game. First Father's Day without his father. Second one since it's been almost 2 years. He did it like a champ. He held it together like a fucking champ. His mom knew he was watching. He's like, Mom, I know he was watching. Bulls win game 6 and win the NBA Finals. And he was on the court with Ahmad Rashad, and he was choking up, and he said, this is for Daddy. This is for Daddy. He was bawling his eyes off in the... Oh, I'm going to get emotional right now. It's fucking crazy. He was in the locker room, in the clubhouse, after they won the title. And like J.A. Donde said it, and many people said this is the first time they're actually seeing the footage of him crying with audio. A lot of times you saw the footage of him sobbing on the floor, but you never heard him crying. He was sobbing, crying so much, holding onto that ball, bawling his eyes out. That was for Daddy. That was for Dad. Absolutely emotional. Absolutely incredible. You had episode 7 with him tearing up, showing how competitive he was, summing up who Michael Jordan was. And now you have this. This is going to win the Academy Award. I already is. It's going to win it. It's absolutely going to win. But before we end episode 8, we're back in the Eastern Conference Finals against the Indiana Pacers in 1998. And then the show ends with the tip-off. So now we know episodes 9 and 10 are going to be finishing the 97 season and the 98 season. And man, it's going to be a doozy. It's going to be a fucking amazing. And we're going to see, unfortunately, the collapse of this team because Jerry Krause absolutely ruined a dynasty. Ruined it. 6 times. They could have won 8 or 9 titles, I think, personally. And I think we're going to see some more footage and some more quotes that are going to change relationships. That are going to change the course of history. NBA history. Basketball history. I think so. This documentary is making waves, man. I'm so excited. I'm so happy about this documentary. It's killed it. So that's our episode. That's our bonus podcast. Recap 7 and 8. Hope you guys enjoy. On Friday, we'll record another episode of End of the Bench with a guest. His name's Stephen Nelson. He's a MLB Network studio host. We talked for an hour and 15 minutes. Longest interview I've ever done. Awesome dude. He told me stories about it in the industry and people he's interviewed. Funny stuff. We laughed. We got serious at times. It was an awesome interview. Hope you guys enjoy. You'll be seeing clips on the social. The episode will drop on Friday or Saturday, depending on how late I record. But we'll shoot for Friday. Unbelievable stuff, man. Great stuff. Hope you guys enjoyed this episode. We're gonna have one more of these bad boys. One more of these bonus podcasts on Sunday. So remember, Friday, regular episode of End of the Bench comes out, and then Sunday recording it, dropping Monday. Last Dance episodes 9 and 10 to finish out this unbelievable documentary series. So happy that we were able to watch all this stuff. I'm also going to be really sad that we're not going to be able to watch anything after this. But ESPN's dropping 3 more unbelievable documentaries. One about Lance Armstrong, one about Bruce Lee, and another one about the home run chase between McGwire and Sosa in '98. So you guys, maybe we'll do a podcast about that. Probably not bonus podcast, but we'll do regular discussions about those podcasts on the episodes. All right, so we'll catch you guys on Friday and then also on Sunday. Hope everyone has a great day. Stay safe. Wash your hands. Stay inside. I know we're almost out of this. Gotta be safe here. That was a Last Dance bonus podcast of episodes 7 and 8. Catch you guys next week. Peace! In the car, and I put it on my mama. And my bitch call, talking about some drama. I swear there ain't no time for women on the coma. It's either pussy or the karma. Man, I just wanna go flex. Gold on my teeth and on my neck. And I'm stone cold with the flex from the squad, and I'm smoking up a check. Man, I just wanna go flex. Gold on my teeth and on my neck. And I'm stone cold with the flex from the squad, and I'm smoking up a check. Get a motherfucking nosebleed. She ain't never met a young and do it like me. She got a man, but she said she really like me. She doing things to excite me. She sending all her friends snaps on my new tracks. Cause all these hoes know what's about to come next. I hit my plug up.